The alien queen moved quietly through the long dark halls of her palace. Every wall was made of shining black stone, and every step she took echoed like a soft warning. Her crown felt heavier tonight, not because of its weight, but because of the worries she carried in her heart. She walked with purpose, her many eyes blinking as she replayed the same thought again and again. Someone might be trying to harm her children, her 3 young triplets, small, fragile, and paralyzed since birth, were everything to her. Their soft breathing, their tiny hands, their quiet stillness. All of it lived in her mind like a constant shadow. The palace doctors told her the triplets were stable but weak. They needed calm days, good care, and no stress. But strange things had been happening in the nursery lately. Machines turning off on their own. Blankets moved, small items missing. Alarms triggered without reason. Some servants whispered that the children were cursed. Others refused to enter the nursery at all. A few even asked to be transferred to other wings of the palace. The queen did not believe in curses. She believed in threats. So tonight, she carried 3 small devices in her 4-clawed hand, special cameras she had ordered secretly from the Royal Tech Division. These cameras were small, silent, and sharp enough to see even the smallest movement. She planned to place them in hidden corners of the nursery. No one in the palace knew, not the guards, not the nurses, not the workers, only her. She reached the nursery doors. 2 guards bowed, but she waved them away. She did not want witnesses. When the doors closed behind her, the room fell into soft blue light from the glowing medical panels. The triplets slept inside 3 round cradles, each surrounded by floating monitors that beeped calmly. The queen approached her children first. She touched each cradle gently, her fingers trembling. "My little ones, forgive me. I must be sure you are safe." She placed the first camera near a vent, hiding it behind metal patterns on the wall. The second camera she placed on top of a storage unit, hidden between folded cloths. The third camera she tucked behind a medical lamp where no one would ever look. When she finished, she checked the angles through her wrist console. The cameras showed clear views, the doors, the beds, the machines, the entire nursery. Nothing could escape her sight now. Still, the queen did not feel calm. She stood in the center of the room and looked at her sleeping triplets. Their small chests rose and fell with each soft breath. They were innocent, they were vulnerable. They trusted her with their lives, and she had failed them once before. The queen closed her eyes. A memory burned in her mind, a memory she tried hard to bury. A long time ago, before these children were born, she had lost her first hatchling due to palace neglect. A nurse had not followed orders. A machine had malfunctioned. By the time the queen found out, it was too late. She had sworn it would never happen again. A soft beep suddenly came from her wrist console. The cameras were online. The recording began. The queen felt her heart tighten. She hurried out of the nursery and returned to her private chamber. With a flick of her claw, she opened the security feed. 3 screens appeared before her. At first, everything looked peaceful. But then, right after midnight, movement caught her attention. A figure entered the nursery. The queen leaned forward, all her eyes wide with fear. The figure was small, thin, humanoid, a human janitor, and he was walking toward her paralyzed children. The queen froze, her breath sharp in her throat. Why was a human in her nursery at this hour? What was he doing near her babies? And why was he looking around as if he didn't want to be seen? The queen's claws curled tight. This was exactly what she feared. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. The alien queen kept her many eyes fixed on the glowing screens as the strange figure stepped deeper into the nursery. Her heart pounded in her chest, steady but sharp, like the slow beat of a war drum. The cameras showed everything clearly. The thin body, the soft movements, the hesitant steps. It was indeed human. The queen recognized the basic features: 2 arms, 2 legs, simple clothes, and a nervous walk. She zoomed in. A face appeared. A young man. Pale skin, tired eyes. Messy brown hair that looked like he had been working many hours without rest. His name came to her memory after a moment. The palace records flashed through her mind. Daniel Hart, a low-ranking janitor. Assigned to clean the lower halls and empty trash units. Not authorized to enter any medical wing, especially not the royal nursery. The queen leaned closer to the screens. Her claws tapped the table softly, a sound she only made when she was angry. Or afraid. She could not understand why he was here. Guards were strict. Doors were locked. The nursery was protected. No ordinary worker could simply walk in, unless someone let him in, or unless Daniel had found a secret way. He moved slowly, looking around with care, as if afraid of waking anyone, though the triplets never woke. They were paralyzed from birth, and could move only their eyes and fingers. Daniel approached one of the cradles with small, hesitant steps. His hand shook a little. The queen TNCD. Why is he going near my child? The human bent down and stared at the sleeping baby inside. The camera caught his face clearly now. He did not look angry. He did not look greedy. He did not look like someone who wished to harm a royal child. He looked sad. Very sad. His shoulders dropped, as if he carried a heavy story. His eyes softened. For a moment, he did nothing, only stood beside the cradle as if waiting for courage. Then he moved. He reached out and gently adjusted the blanket around the tiny child's arm. His fingers were slow, careful, almost shaking with fear of causing pain. He brushed away a small strand of drool from the baby's chin. Using a piece of clean cloth he pulled from his pocket, the queen's eyes widened. No servant ever approached her children with such tenderness. Most of them were too afraid, but Daniel acted like he had done this many times before. The queen rewound the footage. She watched again and again and again. The human was not harming the child. He was helping, but why? Her mind filled with questions she did not want to ask. Had someone ordered him? Was he pretending? Was this a trick? Was he plotting something bigger? Daniel then turned to adjust one of the machines beside the cradle. His movements showed knowledge, but not the smooth skill of trained alien nurses. He pressed one button too lightly, then corrected himself. He fixed a slip tube. He whispered something. But the camera had no sound. The queen leaned even closer, wishing she could hear his words. His lips moved slowly, softly, gently. He was speaking to the sleeping child, talking, comforting, maybe even singing. The queen replayed that moment several times. The human's face held no anger, no secret smile, no wicked thought hiding behind calm eyes, only tired kindness. Deep, tired kindness. But the queen did not trust what she saw, not yet. Perhaps he had a different plan. Perhaps he wanted the triplets to grow attached to him. Perhaps he wanted to get close so he could use them later. Humans were unpredictable, dangerous, small but clever. The queen tightened her jaw. She did not know what this human wanted, but she would find out. She kept watching. As Daniel checked each cradle one by one, he fixed blankets, wiped tiny hands, and made sure each breathing tube stayed in place. He acted as if he belonged there. As if he cared. When Daniel finally stepped back and sighed, the queen felt a strange confusion wash through her. Why would a human janitor, a simple worker, show such gentle care for alien royal children? The queen did not have an answer, but she knew something now. This human was not normal, and his reasons for being here were still hidden. The mystery was only beginning. The alien queen did not blink as she watched the human on the camera feed. Her body stayed stiff, frozen in a mix of fear and disbelief. She had expected danger. She had expected a threat, but she had not expected this. The human janitor Daniel moved from one cradle to the next like someone handling fragile treasures. He did not rush. He did not hesitate. He did not act like a stranger in the royal nursery. Instead, he behaved as if he had been caring for the triplets for years. The queen leaned closer to the screens, her claws tightening the edge of her throne. What kind of human did this? Daniel stopped beside the second cradle. The tiny child inside had tears forming at the corners of its eyes. The queen felt her heart tighten when she saw it. But the human noticed it, too. He bent down. He wiped the tears gently with his thumb. Slow, careful, tender. The queen felt her breath catch. This was wrong. This was impossible. This was not how humans behaved, that she had met many humans before workers. Traitors, diplomats. Some were respectful, some neutral, a few rude. But never had she seen one show such soft emotion toward alien children. Especially royal alien children. Daniel did not stop there. He reached into the pocket of his simple work uniform and pulled out something small, a tiny cloth doll he had made himself. The queen could see the uneven stitching, the simple shape, the lack of decoration. It was a humble gift, but it had been made with time and effort. Why would he bring a handmade toy? He held the doll near the child's hand, hoping the small fingers would close around it. They couldn't, not fully. But Daniel smiled anyway, a soft, sad smile filled with patience. The queen stared at that smile. Why did it feel like he had known pain too? Why did he understand their weakness so well? Daniel then whispered something. The camera had no sound, but his lips moved slowly. The queen replayed the scene several times, trying to read his lips. 2 words stood out. You're safe. The queen's chest grew tight. Those were the same words she whispered to her triplets every night. Yet here they were, spoken by a human stranger in the quiet darkness of her nursery. Daniel walked toward the third cradle. This child had always been the weakest of the 3. Its breathing was soft and shallow. The small machine beside the cradle beeped slowly to keep rhythm with its chest. But tonight, the machine's tube had twisted slightly enough to make breathing difficult. Daniel noticed immediately. He reached down with quick but gentle hands. He fixed the tube. He straightened the pillow. He checked the breathing monitor again and again, making sure everything worked right. The queen expected him to panic, or freeze, or call for help. But he did none of those things. He simply acted fast, calm, experienced, as if her child's life mattered deeply to him. The queen stared at the screen in silence. Her heart felt confused. Her mind felt unsteady. She did not understand this human. Humans usually cared about their own kind. Yet Daniel was showing kindness to children who were not even his species, not even his responsibility. Why? What drove him? What pain did he carry that made him so gentle with the weak? As she watched, Daniel finally stepped back. His shoulders were tired, his eyes heavy. But he looked at the 3 sleeping children with a kind of quiet pride, as if helping them had given him purpose. The queen felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. Daniel turned to leave the nursery. But before he walked out, he looked one last time at the triplets. He whispered the same 2 words again. You're safe. Then he slipped into the shadows and disappeared from view. The queen leaned back slowly, her heart pounding. This was no accident, no trick, no secret plan. This was compassion. Pure, simple human compassion. And it changed everything. The queen now knew this human was not a threat, but he was a mystery she needed to solve. The alien queen returned to the security chamber the next night with a heavy mind. Her thoughts kept circling the same questions. Why would a human janitor care for her triplets? Why did he act like someone who knew pain? What was he hiding? She sat before the glowing screens again, waiting for midnight. Waiting for Daniel. At exactly the same time as the night before, the nursery door opened. Quiet, slow, careful. Daniel, stepped inside, carrying his small work bag and something else in his hand, a tiny toy made from soft cloth and string. Different from the first doll, new, the queen felt her heart squeeze. He made another toy. For alien children who could not even hold them. Daniel stood still for a few seconds, letting the gentle light wash over him. He looked tired again. His shoulders drooped. His back bent slightly, as if he carried invisible weight. But when he saw the triplets, his face changed, his eyes warmed. His posture softened. He looked like someone coming home. The queen leaned forward. She had to understand this human. She had to. Daniel walked to the first cradle and placed the new toy near the child's hand. He whispered something again, words the queen could not hear, but she could see the tenderness in his expression. Then he sat on the small stool beside the cradle, resting his hands in his lap. For a long moment, he did not move. He just looked at the child with quiet sadness. The queen wondered if he was remembering something, someone, a memory that hurt. Then he began to talk. The cameras had no sound, but his lips moved clearly. The queen watched closely, trying to understand. My sister. She was like you. She was small. She couldn't move. The queen froze. A chill ran through her body. Daniel continued speaking softly. His hands shook a little as he talked. His shoulders trembled like someone fighting old pain. He reached into his bag and pulled out a folded photograph. The camera caught it clearly, a picture of a young human girl, smiling weakly from a hospital bed. Machines surrounded her, similar to the ones in the nursery. The girl's arms were thin. Her legs were still. She looked very much like the queen's. Paralyzed triplets. Very much. The queen felt her breath shorten. She understood now. Daniel had cared for someone like this before. Someone he loved. Someone who depended on him. Daniel touched the photo gently, then placed it beside the cradle as if introducing his sister to the alien child. He smiled sadly and kept talking. He spoke of long days in hospitals, of nights spent helping doctors, of learning how to fix small machines just so his sister could breathe easier. He spoke of singing to her, telling her stories, making small toys to keep her company. The queen watched his mouth from the words. She is gone now, but I still remember how to help. I can't save her, but maybe I can help someone else. The queen felt something warm sting behind her eyes. This human was not acting from duty, not from orders, not from fear or loyalty. He acted from grief, from love, from a wound that never healed. Daniel continued his careful work. He checked each child's breathing tube. He wiped their faces. He fixed every small error in the machines. He moved with the calm skill of someone who had done this for someone he loved deeply. And all the while, he kept talking, telling gentle stories. The queen could see it in his movement, stories of Earth's forests, oceans, warm sunlight, and small joys. He was giving warmth to children who could not ask for it. He stayed for a long time, far longer than needed. Before leaving, he lifted the photograph one last time and whispered something to it. Then he looked at the triplets with a tired smile. You're safe. The queen placed her hand over her chest. She felt her heart ache. The human wasn't a threat. He wasn't a spy. He wasn't pretending. He was a broken soul trying to heal someone else's pain. For the first time, the queen whispered aloud, "This human is unlike any I have ever known." The truth had finally been revealed, and it changed everything. The alien queen woke the next morning with a strange feeling inside her chest. It was not fear. It was not anger. It was something she had not felt in many years, an uncomfortable mix of confusion, curiosity, and a small touch of hope. She tried to push the feeling away, but it stayed with her like a quiet whisper. She could not stop thinking about the human janitor Daniel. His hands, his soft voice, his sad eyes, his sister. His compassion, for so long, The queen had believed humans were simple creatures, selfish, impatient, focused only on their own survival. She believed this because she had seen the worst of them during interstellar negotiations, trade deals, and political arguments. Humans always fought for more territory, more resources, more influence. But Daniel was nothing like that. He had nothing to gain from helping her children. No reward, no praise, not even recognition. He came at night, alone, when no one was watching. That was what bothered the queen most. Good acts done under bright lights and public eyes were expected. But good acts done in the dark, those were different. Those were true. That evening, she returned to the security chamber early. She wanted to watch Daniel again. Not out of fear this time, but out of something she was not ready to admit. Trust. The screens glowed softly in the dim room. The queen sat straighter when the nursery door opened a few hours later. Daniel stepped inside again, carrying better posture than the night before. He still looked tired, but tonight there was a spark of energy in his eyes, as if he had been waiting all day for this moment. The queen watched closely. Daniel approached the first cradle. The tiny child blinked weakly, unable to move more than its eyes. Daniel smiled at the baby, a real smile, warm and bright. He reached out, letting the child's small fingers touch his hand. The child's eyes widened slightly, reacting to the warmth of human skin. The queen felt a small shake in her chest. No nurse, no servant, no officer in her entire empire had ever touched the triplets like that, with no fear of punishment, no hesitation, no disgust. Just kindness. Daniel then brought out small items from his bag. Not toys. Books. Old human children's books, worn on the edges. Pages taped. Covers faded. The queen watched with silent amazement as Daniel opened the book and began reading slowly. The camera had no sound, but the way he moved his lips made the story clear. His eyebrows lifted when the tale became exciting. His eyes softened when it became sad. His hands moved gently across the pages as he showed pictures to the paralyzed children. He knew they could not move. He knew they could not speak. But he read to them anyway. The queen's throat tightened. She remembered reading stories to her first hatchling long before she lost it. She remembered the way its small eyes glowed with curiosity, the way its tiny fingers tapped against her arm. The memory stabbed her heart softly. She had not read stories to her triplets yet. She feared it might hurt them. She feared they might not understand. But Daniel did not fear. He simply cared. The next moment shook the queen even more. One of the triplets began to struggle again. Its breathing mask slipped slightly out of place. The baby's chest rose and fell too quickly. The machine beeped a warning. Daniel reacted instantly. He placed his hands on the machine, gently but quickly, fixing the issue with the skill of someone who had done this many times. He checked every tube twice. Then he touched the child's forehead, combing it with slow, soft movements. The queen stared, stunned. Her own medical staff sometimes panicked during the same issue. But Daniel, an untrained human worker, handled it with steady confidence. How could someone so low-ranked know so much care? How could someone so young carry so much calm? How could someone from another species understand the pain of her children? The queen's doubts began to break apart, piece by piece. This human was not pretending. This human was not dangerous. This human was something else entirely. He stayed much longer that night, talking, reading, fixing, comforting. And when he finally left, he looked at the triplets with gentle pride. The queen whispered into the empty chamber, her voice trembling. This human has a heart greater than any warrior I have ever known. For the first time in many long years, the queen felt her fear shrinking, replaced by wonder, and she knew the truth now. Her children were not alone. A human stranger loved them too. The next night felt different from the start. The alien queen sensed something heavy in the air, something tense, sharp, dangerous. As she entered the security chamber, her steps were faster than usual. Her claws clicked against the floor in a nervous rhythm. She sat before the screens before they even finished powering on. She needed to see Daniel. She needed to make sure nothing had happened to her triplets. The cameras showed the nursery, quiet and peaceful. The soft blue lights glowed gently over the cradles, but something was wrong. A small alarm icon blinked at the corner of the screen. A device wasn't functioning properly. The Queen's heart jumped, and then the nursery door opened. Daniel rushed in. He wasn't calm. He wasn't slow or gentle. He sprinted toward the third cradle, the weakest child. The Queen's breath caught in her throat. The baby's breathing had become uneven, shallow, and fast. The tube had slipped again, more badly than before. The child's tiny chest rose with effort. Daniel didn't hesitate for a moment. He grabbed the machine with both hands, adjusting the settings, straightening the tubes, checking the monitors. His movements were quick, but still exact, guided by years of painful memory. His jaw was tight. His eyes burned with determination. The Queen felt a cold sweat on her skin. He wasn't doing this because he was told to. He wasn't doing this to impress anyone. He was doing this because he cared deeply. Daniel kept working, breathing hard. He whispered to the child, encouraging it, calming it. He placed a hand on the baby's chest, feeling each breath. He checked the mask seal again and again until the beeping slowed. Then steadied. The child's breathing returned to normal. Daniel exhaled in relief. And that was when trouble arrived. The nursery door burst open. 3 guards stormed in, weapons drawn. Human. One guard shouted, "Step away from the royal." "Children!" Daniel froze. His hands stayed raised in the air, trembling. He took one step back from the cradle, confused, breathless, terrified. The guards circled him with sharp metal weapons. "You are trespassing on royal grounds. You touched the heirs without permission. Explain yourself, human." Daniel tried to speak, but the words stumbled out. I was just helping. Guard grabbed him roughly by the arm. "Lies, you came here to harm them." "No," Daniel cried, his voice cracking. "I swear, I wasn't. Please, they couldn't breathe. I had to help." Silence. The guards pulled him toward the door. The Queen watched all of it on the screens. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Her claws shook with rising anger, not at Daniel, but at her own guards. He had done nothing wrong. He had saved her child. He had risked punishment to protect them. She slammed her claws onto the security panel. "Stop," she commanded. Her voice thundered through the palace's speaker system. Every guard in the nursery froze. Then, with heavy steps that echoed like thunder, the Queen marched through the halls toward the nursery. Her guards bowed as she passed, confused and nervous. Her heart burned with urgency. When she reached the nursery doors, they slid open with a hiss. Inside, Daniel stood surrounded by armored guards, hands trembling, eyes wide with fear. His clothes were messy, and sweat still covered his forehead. From the frantic rescue, the Queen looked at him, and in his exhausted eyes, she saw it clearly. Not guilt. Not fear of punishment. Only worry for her children. She turned slowly to her guards, her voice sharp as a blade. "Release him." The guards hesitated. "But Your Majesty," I said, she growled. "Release him." They stepped back immediately. Daniel stood alone now, shaking, confused. He looked like he expected to be punished anyway. The Queen stepped closer. "You saved my child tonight," she said softly. Daniel swallowed hard. I just did what anyone would do." The Queen shook her head. "No," she said. "Not anyone. Not even my own people have shown the courage and kindness you have shown." Daniel lowered his gaze. Overwhelmed, the Queen lifted his chin gently with one claw so he had to meet her eyes. "I have watched you," she said. "Every night I know your heart. I know your pain, and I know your truth." The guards looked. Shocked. Daniel looked broken, yet relieved. The queen continued, her voice warm for the first time in years. You are no trespasser. You are no threat. You are the protector my children were waiting for. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, the queen smiled a small, hesitant smile shaped by gratitude and truth. The truth she could no longer deny. This human was the only one who had ever truly cared for her children. And tonight, she had witnessed it with her own eyes. The nursery was silent after the queen's words. For the first time since Daniel entered the palace, the guards lowered their weapons without suspicion. Their faces softened, though confusion still showed in their eyes. A human praised by the queen, a human defender of royal children? None of them understood. But the queen's voice had been clear. Daniel stood in place, frozen like a statue. His face still showed fear, but behind it shone something else. Something small and fragile. Hope. The queen took another step toward him. Her movements were slow, careful, almost gentle. She was a tall creature with 4 shining eyes and a strong, insect-like frame. But in that moment, she carried herself like a mother, not a ruler. You cared for my children when no one else dared, she said softly. Even when it brought you danger. Daniel wiped his face with his sleeve. I didn't want them to be alone, he whispered. No child deserves that. The queen looked at her triplets, each lying still but breathing peacefully. Their small chests moved in steady rhythms, thanks to him. Her voice lowered, touched with emotion even she had trouble hiding. They are alive tonight because of you. Daniel looked down at the floor. I just saw my sister in them. She couldn't move either. I know how it feels. I know how powerless it looks. I couldn't help her, but maybe I could help them. The queen's heart, 2 of them, tightened. This human had carried a private sorrow for years. Yet he had turned that sorrow into kindness. A kindness stronger than any weapon she had ever seen. She turned to the guards. Leave us. They bowed deeply, surprised but obeyed. The doors closed behind them, leaving only the queen, the human, and the quiet breathing of the triplets. Daniel took a small step back, unsure of what the queen wanted from him. If I've done wrong, if you want me to leave the palace, I understand. I never meant to break rules. The queen's answer shocked him. Leave? She repeated. No, Daniel Hart, I want you to stay. He blinked. Stay? You have shown more love to my children than any nurse, doctor, or servant in this palace. You have done what even my own people feared to do. She paused, her voice trembling, a rare thing for a queen, who once ruled star systems with iron resolve. I want you to be their official caretaker. Daniel's mouth fell open. Me, but I'm just a janitor. Not anymore, the queen said firmly. You are the one they trust. You are the one I trust. Daniel looked at the triplets. Their small eyes were awake now, blinking gently, following the familiar shape of the human who had protected them every night. 2 of them even moved a finger, barely, but enough to show recognition. Daniel swallowed hard. They know you, the queen whispered. And they feel safe because of you. Tears filled his eyes. I don't know what to say. Say yes, the queen told him. Daniel nodded slowly, a trembling smile growing across his face. Then yes, I'll stay. I'll take care of them, for as long as you'll have me. The queen bowed her head, a gesture of respect rarely given to anyone, especially not a human. Then you will not serve as a janitor anymore, she declared. You will serve as guardian of the royal triplets, a position of honor. Daniel laughed softly through his tears. Guardian. Emmy? Yes, she said. You proved it long before I ever saw it. Word of the queen's decision spread through the palace within hours. Shock turned to curiosity, curiosity turned to understanding, and understanding slowly grew into admiration. For the first time in the empire's history, an alien queen and a human worker stood side by side, not as ruler and servant, but as partners in protecting 3 fragile lives. And in the days that followed, something remarkable began to grow, a new bond between species. A bond built not with treaties or politics, but with compassion. And all of it began with one human, one broken heart, and 3 silent children who needed a protector. The universe would remember this moment, because sometimes the strongest force in the galaxy is a simple human kindness no one ever expects.